have planned a lecture series on endocrinology, in which we will try to cover the endocrinology, all the medicals about the medical terminologies about endocrinology, the physiology of endocrinology, anatomy of endocrinology, pathology, pharmacology, and also in last we will try to cover the clinical medicines of endocrinology, right? We have also changed our strategy for easiness of time or for short time lectures. We have drawn all these things on board first, and now we will discuss these things. This is the first lecture about endocrinology, in which we will try to cover the introduction to endocrinology, the endocrine system, the coordination systems of body, their divisions, what are the endocrine hormones, endocrine glands, and also a little bit about the exocrine glands and hormones. So let's start the endocrinology. What is endocrinology? Specifically, endocrinology is the study of endocrine system. This is the scientific study of endocrine system. What's mean by this scientific study? That in endocrine system we will cover all the physiological functions of endocrine system, also biological changes for which the endocrine system is responsible. Also in endocrine system we will study the effects of endocrine hormones, the effects of abnormalities of endocrine hormones and biological system, also on physiological functions of body, right? So let's start this endocrinology. First of all, we will discuss that what are the coordination systems of body, because this endocrine system is one of the important coordination system in body. The coordination systems control the other body systems, like for example the nervous system and this endocrine system works together, works in coordination, and control all the activities, all the functions of the body. So our body have two coordination system, right? One is the nervous coordination and second is chemical coordination. The nervous coordination works on the basis of electricity. These are the work of body or coordination system which need electric impulses, and these electric impulses are provided by neurons, from which nervous system is designed, right? Nervous coordination is controlled by nervous system, right? The nervous system, we will discuss this in a separate lecture series, the nervous system physiology, anatomy, etc. But here the coordination system, and coordination system we have two, the nervous coordination and chemical coordination. This nervous coordination is controlled by this neurons, and this neurons works on electric impulses. So this is electric coordination. This is also known as electric coordination. Electric coordination system of body. The second is which works together with this nervous system, mean that if we have one system here, the body functions will not be able to control, because together these two systems control all these activities of body. So the second thing is chemical coordination. It is also known as hormonal coordination. Hormonal coordination. Why it is called chemical coordination and why it is called electric coordination, right? Because this coordination is controlled by a chemical, a special chemical which is called hormone. So that's why it's called hormonal coordination, right? It is also called the hormonal system. Hormonal system of body, like this. If this is called the nervous system, it is called the hormonal system. This hormonal system is further divided into two. One hormone is endocrine hormones, and the second is exocrine hormones, right? The endocrine hormones are secreted by special glands called endocrine glands, and these exocrine hormones are secreted by exocrine glands. What is the difference between these exocrine and endocrine glands? Right, we will discuss this in detail, but here it's a little bit definition is required that endocrine glands are ductless glands. These are ductless. For example, here in this diagram, you can see this is the brain. This is the brain, and this red is this is pituitary gland, and this green is hypothalamus. All these two and other endocrine glands, these are ductless because they lack the ducts in direct coordination with blood. All or we can say that it secrete the hormones in one area of body. Through blood, that hormones will travel and act in other part of other locations of body. For example, it have no direct ducts to the target area. Like for example, here in exocrine glands, if we are take the example of parotid or salivary gland, this is called parotid salivary gland. This gland have this duct. I am shading this in green. This is the duct of this parotid gland, and it have a specific location where this duct is opening. Like for example, this is sublingual salivary gland, and this is submandibular salivary gland. So here, from here, it secretes the hormones or saliva or enzymes, and it secretes in a target area. With the target area, it have a small ducts, but in endocrine glands they have no ducts, and it secretes their hormones direct into blood. So the glands which have no ducts are called endocrine glands, and the glands which have ducts, specific ducts, they are called exocrine glands. Other examples of this, pancreas, and pancreas is dual functional. It have also the activity of endocrine as well as endocrine. And for example, this is pancreas. Pancreas have this pancreatic duct, and it's combining with the hepatic bile duct at forming the common bile duct, and at last it will open into the duodenum. So it have a specific duct, so it is called it also function as the exocrine gland. These exocrine glands in body forms exocrine system. Exocrine system, right? And endocrine glands forming endocrine system, right? So the coming lectures is about this endocrine system, but how we will differentiate this from exocrine, for that I have classified this coordination system. The exocrine system consists of exocrine glands, like for example, pancreas is dual functional. Pancreas, salivary glands, right? For example, liver also acts as exocrine gland, right? So and etc. It have other glands also. This is exocrine system. We will try to discuss this also, but here we will talk about only this endocrine system. Endocrine system is composed of endocrine glands, right? So this is the just the look of body coordination system, and this their classification or its division, right? Now this, what is this endocrinology? Basically this, the study of this endocrine system, it is called endocrinology, right? What we will study in this endocrine system or endocrinology, I have already told you that in endocrine, this is specifically a basic definition is the scientific study of endocrine system, right? But in endocrinology we will cover all the medical platforms, like for example the physiology of endocrine system. What is the physiology? Mean that what are the functions of endocrine system, or what are the effects of endocrine system on our biological system, right? If we take some if we get some abnormalities in this endocrine secretion, what will be the effect on our these physiological functions or normal body functions? or when endocrine system secretes their hormones, what will be the effect of that hormones on the biological system on cellular level or on tissues level. So we will discuss these all effects on the in this endocrinology. Also, when we get some abnormalities in this endocrine system, we will recover that on pharmacology of endocrine system. But first of all, it's needed that we will must know about the normal physiology and anatomy of endocrine system. Now we have told you that the scientific study of endocrine system is endocrinology. What is endocrine system basically? Endocrine system is the hormonal system composed of endocrine glands responsible for secretions of endocrine hormones. So we have two words. There are two words. One is this endocrine gland and second is endocrine hormone. So the system in which we study about these endocrine glands and endocrine hormones is called endocrine system. What are these endocrine glands are responsible for? These are responsible for the secretion of endocrine hormones. Right? What are endocrine hormones? Endocrine hormones are the hormones which are secreted by, these are the hormones which are secreted by endocrine glands. Right? So this is the endocrine glands and endocrine hormones. Now what will we study in this endocrine glands basically in further lectures and physiology of endocrine system? What we will cover this in endocrine glands. First of all, what are endocrine glands? These are the glands which are responsible for the chemicals, special chemicals, or these special chemicals are also known as the second messengers, right, which are responsible for biological changes in body. Right? I am trying to separate it from right. So the endocrine glands are responsible for the formation or the secretions of the chemicals. Also these are called the second messengers, and also these chemicals are called endocrine hormones. Right? So we will study the endocrine glands and endocrine hormones in these lectures. After a few minutes we will know about all the important endocrine glands and their important secretions. Endocrine hormones are the hormones. What is the basic definition of this endocrine hormones? These are the hormones which are secreted in one location of body by endocrine glands and effects are it acts in other location of body. Right? This is called the endocrine hormone. This is the specific definition that endocrine hormones must be secreted in one area of body and will affect the other area of body, because they have no ducts and it will secrete the hormones. These glands will secrete the hormones directly into the blood, and blood stream well responsible for taking these hormones from one area of body to other. For example, if we talk about this gland, this is endocrine, for example general endocrine glands, and this is also endocrine gland. Right? For example, it secrete its hormones. For example, these are endocrine hormones, right? And this is the blood flow. For example, it secretions into this blood, for example from here, and this is the blood stream, blood vessels. Right? These are the secretory cells. Secretory cells in endocrine system, the secretory cells are specifically, these are endocrine glands, and it secretes its hormones into blood stream, right? For example, these are the hormones, endocrine hormones, which are secreted by these endocrine glands. This blood stream is responsible for taking these hormones into other locations of body. For example, imagine that these secretions are occurs in brain. For example, this is pituitary gland, or this is the thyroid gland, or it is the thymus gland, right? And it secretes its location its hormones into the brain blood. This blood is taking these hormones into other location. For example, this is abdomen, or this is the thyroid gland, and these hormones are thyroid stimulating hormones, right? For example, this blood takes the thyroid stimulating hormones into thyroid gland, and here it will affect this target cell, and it will bring change in this cell, biological changes. So you can see here that the hormones are releasing to blood in one part of body, and it will act in other part of body. So this is the endocrine functions of endocrine system. And from here we can get this definition that endocrine hormones are the hormones which are secreted in one location of body and act or affect the other location or other cells in the other location of body, right? For example, here these hormones are secreted by that secretory cells and will affect on this cell. For example, the receptors are present on this cell. This is targeted area, and this is, for example, kidney. This is kidney, and these hormones are coming from brain. So it secretes the secretions of the hormones occurs here in brain, and it affecting the kidney and the hypochondriac or the abdominal region. So this is called the endocrine activity or endocrine hormones, right? Here, what is specifically this hormone is? For example, we are saying that endocrine hormones are these are the chemicals which are secreting directly into the bloodstream. So what is hormone? Hormones are chemical messengers. These are chemical messenger. And what is messenger? Mean that it will take the messages from the secretory cells. It takes the messages from secretory cells and take these messages into the targeted area of body. For example, if this pituitary gland released luteinizing hormone, right? And these luteinizing hormones take this message to the ovaries, right? Or for example, from here the thyroid stimulating hormones are releasing from this pituitary gland and take the message and give the message to the thyroid gland for the production of thyroid hormones, right? So these are the chemical messengers that are secreted by different glands, and that glands may be exocrine gland or it may be endocrine gland. But here in endocrinology we will focus on endocrine only, right? Generally the hormones are secreted also by exocrine glands, but we will study that exocrine hormones in exocrine system. Here in endocrine we will focus on endocrine gland. So these are the chemical messengers that are secreted by different glands directly into bloodstream, right? For example, here this is the specific gland, this is pituitary gland, this is endocrine gland, and it secretes the hormones directly into this bloodstream. So this is here that different glands directly into bloodstream which carries them into specific organs. For example, this is the blood, this is the gland, and these hormones are secreted by this gland. This blood taking these hormones to specific area. For example, here this is the targeted cells and these hormones are coming here. So blood is responsible for carrying these hormones into the targeted area, right? So the hormones are the chemical messenger that are secreted by different glands directly into bloodstream, which carries them into specific organs and tissues of body to exert their different biological function, right? uh, and targeted cell, these hormones will affect on the cells and will bring the biological changes. For example, if I am taking here a cell, for example, generally this is a cell, this is the targeted cell, and in targeted cell we have a receptor here. We will discuss this in a separate, this mechanism in a separate lecture, but here, for example, this is the blood coming here from brain, right? And it brings some hormones here, it will bind to this receptor. What is biological change? The changes occurs in cytoplasm of cell, or the changes occurs inside cell are called biological changes, right? By attaching this hormone here to this receptor, here a lot of changes, for example, a lot of activations of proteins will occur. For example, adenyl cyclase will activated, the GDP will convert into GTP, but it will activate a second messenger called CMP, mean that by binding this hormone here, it will convert this ATP into CMP, and this CMP will bring the biological changes. The one of the biological changes, CMP will activate phosphokinase A, and this phosphokinase will allow the calcium, for example, it allows the sodium channels to bring sodium inside cell, right? So this is the biological change, because this cell is converting from resting membrane potential to depolarization state. So this is the biological change, right? So here in definition we say that which carries them into specific organs, this is the specific organ, right, or tissue of body to exert their different biological changes, because biological changes, a lot of biological changes occur inside the cell. For example, release of calcium, depolarization, or glycolysis, glycogenolysis, Krebs cycles, etc. are all activated by these hormones and the enzymes activity. So this is just the introduction to endocrine system. Now we will discuss some important endocrine glands, but this is not final, right? Because after this in series lectures we will discuss these glands one by one. For example, in one lecture we will cover the hypothalamus, in other we will cover the pituitary, thyroid gland, thymus gland, adrenal gland, etc., right? This is just the look of important endocrine glands, right? So let's, for example, in brain we have hypothalamus, this is the endocrine gland, right? And all the physiotropic hormones are released by this hypothalamus, the physiotropic hormones. Physiotropic hormones, for example, the gonadotropin releasing hormones, right? For example, the growth releasing hormones, which will give message to this pituitary gland, right? For example, this is the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is responsible for example, the release of or the production or secretion of uh, growth hormones, thyroid stimulating hormones, luteinizing hormones, etc., right? This gland is called, it is present in brain, is called pineal gland, just called pineal gland, or pineal gland, and this gland is responsible for production of melatonin, responsible for the production of melatonin hormones, right? For example, here this is called the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland, and thyroid gland is responsible for the calcitonin, release of calcitonin or thyroid hormones T3 and T4, also calcitonin, right? There are four glands present behind this thyroid gland, and these glands are called parathyroid glands. Parathyroid glands, right? For example, here this gland is called thymus gland. This thymus gland is responsible for the production of thymopoietin hormones, which are responsible for the activation of the immune system, right? On kidneys, we have two glands here, and this gland is called adrenal gland. Adrenal gland is also responsible for the balancing of the water and electrolyte balance in body, right? Here we have this gland called pancreas, and this pancreas is dual functional, but it produced very important hormones called insulin and glucagon, which is responsible for the maintenance of the sugar level in our body, right? And female reproductive system, we have important glands called ovaries, and ovaries are responsible for the estrogens and progesterone, etc., are the female sex hormones, right? And in males we have testes, and responsible for the male sex hormones like testosterone, right? So this is all about the introduction of endocrinology, and these are some important endocrine glands. We will discuss all these glands, all the mechanisms of the hormones of these glands in very big detail, right?